Welcome to Story Time with Bonnie. No, not really. But I was talking, or I wrote something over the weekend, and I wanted to start sharing like how I build like a big talk that I'm going to give. I'm giving a talk at the Museum of Science in Boston, and it'll be 45 minutes long. And I like to not use slides. Famously, I don't use slides. I like to create I might use them in building out a video if there's something really succinct that has to be listed, which is usually rare. But otherwise, I like to have a single video that I can share. It runs, I'm in front of it, it's behind there. And a lot of the reasons for that is because of the topics I choose and because it's geospatial. I want to be able to show geographic locations. Maybe I want to show you a calculation, a zoom in, a zoom out, a Google Earth, the results of some Python code. But traditionally, when it's a non geospatial or non technical crowd, I want them to not notice the tool as much as they notice the output, if that makes any sense. I want to rewind how I decide what I'm going to talk about. And those that know me, they know that I run trails, just something I do to run off the crazy. I'm out there for a couple hours most days, or I'm swimming, or just something where I want to multitask. I know that's a bad buzzword, but I can listen to London School of Economic lectures. I can listen to a lot of the podcasts that I've shared here. I listen to a lot of books on tape, and it's just how I get these things in my head that kind of reconnect in a different way. They don't tend to be linear. Like I'll hear something on an art discussion that I'm thinking, wow, that reminds me of geospatial. What can that bring to the data that I'm already looking at? Or you know how this works more or less, especially if you tend to follow me. But the foundation for this cinematic story that I want to tell in Boston is a book that I've read I'm reading called Imagine Futures by Jens Beckert. Now, it started with, since you don't want to run out and buy a book, I tried to find it at a library, which I've started doing. And as an aside, the reason I'm in my office here is because we're building out a built-in library for me. And when that day comes, I'm going to be filming in there, and that'll be a lot of fun. But it started with an article, and I'll share the link because then you could get the idea and for free. It's called Imagine Futures Fictionality in Economic Action. And this was also from another book that I'm reading on audio, but I also had to buy the print book, is Nexus. Now, I know he can be polarizing to some people, not me, because he tells the history. And I don't rely on one person's take on anything. It's like having a conversation. I don't know a lot of people that are sitting down and talking about the impact of the Gutenberg press on storytelling in the modern era. I just, to me, it's a conversation when I listen to it. It doesn't mean this is what I believe now. It just means I want more information. And I like what he was sharing. And I also like The Great Simplification with Nate Hagens. He had someone on there. I have to look this up because I don't always remember where everything came from. But they were talking about thinking with words. And I did write a little bit about this in the Substacks. You can reference it there. And I think I obviously put the author there, but it makes sense. Like we think we can just say stuff and then it's true. I'm thinking, and it's words like that whole Mars fiasco that people are going to end up on Mars. These people aren't going to end up on Mars. We don't have the biology for it. I was a bench scientist before I was anything else. This I know to be true. We can get a ship there, I'm sure, but God help the fool that steps outside, even if they have all the accoutrement. To me, and this is why I wish I could remember the guy who said it because it was brilliant. If you want to go somewhere uninhabitable, go to Antarctica because at least you can get an Amazon package. If you need it, like, well, why start like on a I don't even know how many days, months it takes to get to Mars or whatever. Woo, I don't even know. But we say these things and people are like, oh, we're going to go to Mars. No, we're not. I like this imagined futures concept as well. And in Nexus, we talk about a lot of myths that we believe. Money's one of them, right? I have this piece of currency here. And if I give it to you, it has value, which we're both believing in exchange for this. And religion works the same way. It's all faith, right? What we believe. There's no way to know for certain. These are myths and beliefs that we share. And also around economics, right? We believe that these probabilities are going to play out and we're going to make a profit. And it's a nice way of framing some of these. Before I let how this impacted the talk, let me just really quick. There's a couple quotes here that I think are really interesting that I think you might want to hear. And they talk about fictions, like there's fictions in literature and then fiction in non-literature, things that we just say. Like, for example, I'm jumping ahead and I said I wouldn't, but I am. We talk about renewables. That's a great endeavor, but it's a fiction because none of it's renewable. The sun's renewable, but you can't do anything with it, solar energy. You need to have the non-renewable stuff that we have to build with diesel and fuel and gasoline. We need to build the panels. We need to build, even when we talk about electric vehicles, a lot of that stuff has a, if we're lucky, a 10 to 12-year lifespan, and then it's just more junk on the heap. We say these language things that help us believe in these fictions that when you tease them apart, they may be completely factual in some extent, but they're not factually complete. And that's why I really like this idea about fictionality because it's like talking with words. Let me see if I can find something that just summarizes it for us in the most direct way. Oh, they're saying fictionality and economic action is the intention in the mind of an imagined future state of the world, right? The world where our investments are going to pay off, where going to college and getting this degree is going to give us this career. We have all these things that we treat as factual that really are just probabilities. Actors, that would be us, are motivated in their actions by the imagined future state and organize their activities based on these mental representations, right? AI is going to save the world. That's a big one that we hear. Actors are motivated by this imagined future state, organize their activities based on this, and their fictional expectations in the economy take narrative form as stories, theories, and discourses. Including fictionality in a theory of decision making opens up a way to understanding of the micro foundations of the dynamics. And we know this to be true because look at NVIDIA, look at these companies and how we say something, we believe something, and the markets follow, or vice versa. This wasn't my idea for a story because I wanted to revisit some of the fictions that we have around climate. I think there's valid arguments on both sides. Like the earth has been doing this forever and ever. Sure, but not at this scale and not in this condensed time frame. We should explore that. We should look at how politics impacts decisions that are being made across borders that end up impacting economics, infrastructure for one. And I'll leave you with one of the biggest insights is as we race to be faster, more, get the supply chains going, more grow, we see rivalrous dynamics. We see actions that are going to have the opposite effect. There's a fiction being told somewhere that doing X is going to lead to Y, but there's a lot of us that look at these narratives and then look at the data and look at the complex mathematics behind it that weren't considered in generating that probability. We're building a whole economy on let's hope this is true. And then if it's not, we'll do this other thing. So it could be quite problematic. But I wanted to share just my thoughts on this book because I'm going to continue referring to the book. It really is the spine that brings together the connective tissue of the images that I'm pulling together for this talk about really the humanity in AI. And I always that term artificial intelligence. It just seemed maybe genuine ignorance would be a better way we could all come to the conversation with. I don't know about this, but if I did, this is really how I started thinking about what I'm going to be speaking about. We'll start here and then I'm going to keep building on these ideas. You can see how these talks actually evolve in real time.